Swagatam, Suswagatam. Hare Krishna. Bienvenue.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome. So Madhavanand Prabhu, I think he's always in Eastern Europe. He travels a lot. Huh? Golokananda, you're asking me the question. Huh? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimidandasya Gyananjara Sharakaya Chakshumiritam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Praparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Nuvaishnavam Sa Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Samvetam Tam Samjivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Bhakti. Then Ye Krishna Karuna Bhakti Dinamando Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radhakant Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Aripriye Vanchakalpatarubhasha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome.
Hare Krishna.
So we finished Raganuk Bhakti. Do you have any recollection from that section?
The collection is is Kama, Rupa, and Sambandha Rupa. You know.
Sorry, I'm going to close the door because it's very noisy here. Alors, go ahead.
Kama Rupa and Sambandha Rupa, there's the two coming in my mind.
Yeah. You know to define them?
Kama Rupa means worship Krishna in conjugal mood.
Yeah.
They gave the example of Kubja.
Yes.
And Sambandha Rupa is the relationship, like of a devotee. Yeah. I think in any Vatsalya or
the other older rasas except Shringar rasa.
Yeah.
But again, we have always to remember within the umbrella of Braj Basis, that's within Braj basically. So both of them are into spontaneous devotion, obviously.
Yeah.
You want to add up anything, Vignesh?
Yeah, like basically the same two terminologies have been used even for the followers of Raganuga Bhakti, like Sambandha Anuga and Kama Anuga Bhakti. which is following in the footsteps of those Sambandha, Rupa and Kama Rupa Bhaktas.
Yeah. Following into the footsteps of Ragatmika Bhakta.
Yeah.
Of course, Prabhupada is reminding us, as usual, that we cannot jump into that prematurely. Obviously, it implies already have been transcending the unalterability stage. That goes without saying. Then we discussed about the adhikar regarding this Raganuk Bhakti. So obviously it translates as spontaneity in the program. And that is by abundant Krishna Katha, especially Braj Katha. And this is, again, we're trying to focus, whatever we do in terms of study, in terms of puja, it has to be in relation to that particular group leader we are attracted to. And that's going to determine the type of reading we're going to do, the type of puja, particular puja we are attracted. We are doing a recap, so feel free to interrupt me and to add up. So we mentioned that also it doesn't necessarily follow Vedic Dharma. We don't necessarily mean the 4 regulative principles, more like Varnashram considerations, 64 angas. We have seen, I'll keep on repeating the same example.
So I'm thinking, without following the regulative principle, how can they develop spontaneous? Just by hearing?
No, I'm not saying they don't follow the 4 regulative principles.
Hmm.
I'm talking about the regulative principles pertaining to the Vedic Dharma.
Okay.
Like, for instance, Madhavendra Puri Gosai at the end would not even chant his Gayatri. That's Vedic Dharma.
Okay.
Because, of course, he's Kalpataru in Golok Vrindavan, so that could be an exception. He's not a Nitya Bada, he's a Vishnu Parikar. But still, at a certain stage, we relinquish all these external items, especially pertaining to Vedic
They
Dharma.
don't have to chant 16 rounds. Like us, I know.
Madhavendra Puri Gosai, just to tell you,
They chant like unlimited round, like
yeah,
64.
just to remind you, I'm taking him, but it's so many other cases. Madhavendra Puri Gosai doesn't even beg for himself. So he doesn't even eat. If you don't give him food, he doesn't eat. Doesn't even beg. So what does he do all his life? He just chants, and of course, we know the lila with Gopal. He has unearthed the deity under the supervision of Krishna, of course, who appeared to him as a goat. So all his life is totally absorbed, engrossed into the internal energy, Mahatmanas Mampartam. So, of course, they are Kirtaniyas at the Hari, they chant unlimited names a day. They are totally beyond the rules. But still, they have so much taste, We know these people, they don't even know if it's a proper place or improper place. They don't even know if it's day and night. Madhavendra Puri Gosai is on that level. If you listen to his meeting with Nityananda Prabhu in Chaitanya Bhagavat, you're going to see it's like total madness. Total madness. They are not in this world. It's mentioned if he goes back to external consciousness, he dies. So I don't think it's a proper example. He has nothing to do with this world. He was the guru of Haridas Thakur, guru of Nityananda Prabhu, guru of Avitacharya, guru of Ishvara Puri, Brahmananda Puri, Ramachandra Puri. Of course, that's not the best one. So, we cannot say, well, do they chant the 16?
Yeah, I know. I don't mean that. I mean, like, they chant like
They chant
Like
unlimited.
Kirtanya Sadahari, like all the time.
Yeah,
Like, they
Kirtana
don't stop.
Sadhari. Is Yashoda chanting her 16?
Yeah.
It's quite
Yeah,
a
we're so used to say like
Yeah, they're
16.
not, you have to understand, they're not Nichabada Goloka. They are not only Nityasiddha, they are Vishnu Parika. They're coming from Golok. As simple as that. They're Vishnu Parika, Vishnu Parshan. They're part of the eternal entourage of Mahaprabhu.
So this devotee that is mentioned in this chapter, this is very rare. There's only very few devotee are like that, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we are into Raganug. Raganug means we are on the threshold of Bhav. We're going to see Bhav today. And just like it's mentioned here, Tatat Bhavadi Madhurye. He's always engrossed into, he is already specialized. He's beyond Ruchi. He has a taste. He's totally already fixed in devotional service. He's beyond Nishta. He has an attachment, a Shakti. His Buddhi Yoga is totally focused on Krishna, totally purified person. He's Jivan Mukta, basically. So actually, Bhakti starts there, to be honest. Mam Shajavya Becharina, Bhakti Yogena Sevate, Sagunan Samati Chechan, Brahma Bhuya Kalpate. It starts there, beyond the gunas. It's beyond Shastra in the sense that Vedi means, as we know, we are bound to stick to Shastra, Guru, Shastra, Sadhu, out of fear, out of respect, out of whatever you want. But it's not spontaneous. Most of the time we do it out of duty. Little fear is there, little respect is there, we have taken vows. Yes, that's great, that's wonderful. But this is not the case for Raganuga Bhakta. You follow? It's beyond argument, beyond logic. He has a taste. Tatraloriam, apimuliam, ekanam, Janmakoti Sukritya Nalabyate. And there's a verse, Padyavali. He has deep lolium, covetousness. It's hard. We can discuss, but we're not in that. I mean, I'm not in that category. You don't have to poke them to do things for Krishna. Prabhupada said, he did say, if I have real devotees around me, in 16 days, I conquer the planet. What does it mean? Mahaprabhu said, any one of my parikar can liberate the whole universe, not this planet, in one twink of an eye. So, an universe. Prabhupada, can you imagine two, three Srila Prabhupada coming on Earth? Then in 15 days, 16 days, he said, I'll conquer the planet. So this is basically, I would say, the main trait of this chapter 16, chapter 15, the craving, the covetousness. Nothing will hamper. Just like Prabodhananda Sarasvati is quite you know him, he's very poetic, but quite heavy. He says, if someone asks me to live in Vrindavan, I kill him. So they are very blunt. They can be very blunt. This is Loriam. Nothing will, they won't let anything or anyone hamper in their attachment for Krishna, in their service, in their dedication. It's at the cost of your life if you do so. So you understand, it's a different league, Koloka. It's a different league. There is no similarity. There is no similarity. It's like you're comparing, you're doing sports in a local club here, and you're comparing with a pro. You're doing the same sport as the pro, but you are at the bottom of the scale. Feel free to intervene, also, Vignesh. So lobe is there, definitely. Lo means Loliam. That's within sadhana. Why we discussed? Remember? Why is it still within sadhana? Because, remember, even though it's way beyond Nishta, so unalterability, everything is gone, cleared, but there's some vestiges, remnants of slight contamination up to level of prem, actually, that lingers. So for that matter, he's still trying to get purified, apanasho detail. There's a footnote here. Yeah, he's referring to Madhya Kadambini, for the details. And technically speaking, we're going to see now, we are moving into the third wave. It's a different wave. Rupa Goswami specifically didn't want to mix the two. He could have done it. That is his book. He didn't take the liberty to merge bhav within the same. It's called lahari. Yeah? Lahari means wave.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, why they're dividing this different section into different wave.
Because it's very poetic. We say purva vibhag. Vibhag means division. But isn't it more poetic to use ocean? He's using ocean. Pashima vibhag, Uttar vibhag, Dakina vibhag. So yes, technically means division, but he used Eastern Ocean, Southern Ocean, Northern Ocean. It's more poetic, isn't it? So if you find ocean, you find lahari, you find waves automatically. And nectar of devotion. Bhaktira Samrit Sindhu. What's the meaning of Sindhu, Goloka?
Yeah, Sindhu, yeah. Sindhu is like river, isn't it? Like
ocean.
Ocean.
So, the very title itself implies ocean. Anyway, it's a recap. Anything you want to add up in the recap? Again, the main stress is, like you say, Kamanug, Samadharup. We focus our attention towards a group leader. That's important. We tend to shift from Krishna to a group leader, which is totally fine because this person is pertaining to a certain type of ras, spontaneous. We discussed about ras also. I don't know if you recall. Was it with you? I discussed the 5 components of ras, remember? Was it with you?
No, I don't remember.
I don't know if you remember, but quickly speaking, we relish ras, transcendental mellows. But ras is not simply an actual eternal relationship with Krishna. It's called Sthayi Bhav. We know the 5 primary Sthayi Bhav. You know that, right, Goloka?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
The 5 primary, the 7 secondary. These are continuous. Prabhupada call them continuous ecstasy. When they are revived, we don't know. What is your Sthayi Bhav? I don't know. What is yours? What is your rati, your Sthayi Bhav? So commonly when we say ras, transcendental melody, we refer to our Sthayi Bhav, our eternal relationship with Krishna. But be careful, it's much more. That's one, yes. But ras occurs when there is a relationship, or I would say an affectionate relationship, when it is intensified, And then.
So Bhav and Mahabhav,
No. Now I'm going to discuss quickly. I know it's part of, it's up to you. It's up to you. If you want me to discuss about the 5 components of ras, a ras should include 5 components. That's going to appear much more in the southern division, which is beyond Bhakti Shastri, basically. But if you want, I can quickly go over that as you wish. Otherwise, we go into Bhav Bhakti.
Because chapter 17 started with.
Yeah, actually, now, if you want, I'm doing I'm taking a little break. It's up to you. If you don't want to understand the 5 components, it's fine with me. We can leave it at that. We go straight into Bhav.
Perhaps we can go through, understand the Bhav first. Because I think only then the concept of components of rasa will then make sense.
Okay, that's a very good idea. See, Vignesh is a thinker. That's true. Okay, let's get into Bhav Bhakti. So, what is the definition of Bhav Bhakti? Any idea? You can paraphrase, even in English. You don't have to quote the Sanskrit. You can look at your books, whichever books you have. Let's define Bhav first. How would you define it, Vignesh or Goloka? Bhav Bhakti. We have change of
symptom of devotional service.
Yeah. So let's be a little
plain along with instruction as to how to execute the devotional service with our present senses.
Yeah.
And gradually rise to the ecstasy in spontaneous love. That Prabhupada said. Okay, so the verse is Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu 131. This is the first verse of this wave. Shura Sadva Visheshatma Prem Shuyam Shu Samyabak Ruchibit Chita Masrinya Kridaso Bhavochate. This is the verse coming from the author. Remember, Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu is a book of definitions. We are in the 16th century. There's a great need to ascertain the supremacy of Krishna Bhakti. Even in those days, in medieval India, everyone is mixed up into Nyaya, Smarta. They're into also Tantric, all kind of Baushakayanantasha. They have been strayed away. They have been splintered into so many groups. So Bhav is what it is. This is the definition. But first of all, what is the essence of Bhav? Samvit and Ladini. We are beyond the gunas here, way beyond the gunas. This candidate is totally into the internal energy. Mahatmana Sumam Partam Devim Prakriti Mashita. So essence of Bhav, Samvit and Ladini is compared to Premankor. Premankor means it's a ray of Prem Bhakti. Papa gives example in the morning. You don't see the sun glow, but already the whole environment is lit up by the sun rays. You can already make out your surrounding, even though the globe doesn't appear. So Bhav is the first ray, Premankor, which will soon arise in the heart. And another consideration, which is extremely important, not to be forgotten, it says softening, extreme softening of the heart. That person has very soft heart, like butter. For which purpose? Because now he wants to, remember, it's beyond Raganug. Yeah? Raganug, he was meditating on a group leader. Now he has entered the inner circle. There's a big difference here. He desires to meet, serve, exchange love with Krishna. Any question on that?
So is it like in the stage of Bhav, one is actually in his doing Mansik Seva, or like internal meditating, and actually
even on Raganug already, he's got 2 types of Deha. Sadaka Deha, Siddha Deha. What to speak on the level of Bhav? Because
so is it like we are following? So what exactly is the difference in case of how he's approaching Nitya Leela of the Lord in case of Bhav and when he was in the stage of Raga? Because in both the cases he had a Siddha Deha. So exactly how differently is serving now?
The difference, if I may say, is he has attained the Satya. He has attained the goal. The Raganug Bhakta hasn't attained the goal as yet. It's getting close. It's very close. He's going, because he's following, so he adheres very closely to his group leader, Ragatmika Bhakta. So, but he hasn't fully attained Satya, whereas Bhavi has attained. Now, let's discuss what the very words of Prabhupada. Within the stage of the regulative principles of devotional service, there are two divisions: executive or effective, which is called sadhana. Sadhana means both Vedi and Raganug. And now the other division is called bhav or ecstasy. So Prabhupada doesn't put it at all. We know that Raganug is still under regulative principles.
Mhm.
Sadhana is executive. Bhav is effective. This is what he says, Prabhupada. You're still trying to execute the bhakti. You are in the process of sadhana bhakti. Piti sadhya bhavet sadhana bida, sadhya bhava. You are still on the way to. You follow? Whereas bhav, you have reached sadhya.
The perfection of sadhana bhakti?
Yeah, perfection is prem, but bhav and prem is like bhav ushers prem. Because bhav is prem encore. This is the first ray of prem. I mean, when you see the morning sun, in a matter of a few minutes, the sun is coming out. Isn't it? So bhav bhakta, the sun is coming out anytime. Prem bhakti, so he's getting there. He has reached the destination. And now Prabhupada is getting more technical. Of course, it's Rupa Goswami himself who started to be like that. Cheshtarup. Regulative principles, when we hear about regulative principles at the level of bhav, it doesn't refer to sadhana bhakti. Be very careful. It refers to Sheshtarup. The term is Sheshtarup, to be technical. That's why it's always good to refer to the Sanskrit, because you cannot go wrong with Sanskrit. There's two divisions of bhav. Again, don't even associate with regulative principles. It's no more. Sheshtarup, with your efforts, with your endeavors, and bhavarup. Bhavarup means, like the very name indicates, your spiritual emotions are evoked. Bhavarup. So even Danoda Maharaj gave beautiful tables, which is, personally, I like tables also. Uttam Bhakti, then one side is Sheshtarup, the other one is Bhavarup. And then within Sheshtarup, you find executive bhakti and sadhya, or effective bhakti. Okay? So then he's quoting the definition that I gave. Premonkor, Surya Amshu, a ray of the sun. The heart is extremely softened by various states. So perhaps at this point, do you think we should define what is ras, or is it too early? We can finish the chapter and then we will define. So let's break down the symptoms of bhav. Kudha Sattva Visheshatma. Remember, we discussed way back at the beginning of the book the first 6 leaves. Remember? First 2 leaves pertaining to Vedi is way back. We discussed the first day, perhaps. Kleshagni. Remember, Vignesh? Usually you have a good memory.
Kleshagni,
And
after
Shubhada.
the impurities are destroyed. That is one symptom.
Yeah. Shubhada and Kleshagni. This is the first 2 sprouts
Auspiciousness.
of the Bhakti Kripa, Bhakti Lata Bej. It's no more a Bej, it has grown into a tree. How do you say, a small tree? Yeah? Kripa.
Yeah. So then, okay, and the next two?
Moksha Laghuta Krit, that we derive the concept of even liberation.
Exactly.
Then very difficult, rarely achieved, like Sudurlabha. What you said.
Sudolabha.
Yeah.
And
Sarvamaya
already we are these two pertain to, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, these two pertain to Bhav already. And then the final top leaves up there, Shri Krishna Karshini, and the one is right here. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. So we have to understand, Goloka, this is no more material goodness. Huh? Because oftentimes the devotees say, well, okay, goodness means, just like we discussed 1.2.17, Tadalajasta Mugava, Kamlobadaya Shaya, Cheta Eternam, Sita Sadya Prasidati. Once the lowermost disappear, then it's goodness. But here, be careful. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, it means Shuddha Sattva enters your heart. It's an external source. You follow? This is a gift given by Srimati Radharani. And Prabhupada is very clear here. Shuddha Sattva has nothing to do with material goodness. You can definitely, just like Krishna tells in the Uddhav Gita, you increase your religious principles, you're going to increase your goodness. It's like a staircase. Huh? You increase your goodness, then you increase your religious principles. Again, you increase your religious principles, you increase your goodness. And gradually, Krishna gives the example of the staircase to Uddhav. It's like a staircase going to the spiritual world. That's fine, that's great. But Bhav is different. Bhav is an external manifestation given to you. You follow? And it's very clear, again and again, I'm stressing, it has nothing to do with material goodness. It is the Lord internal potency that is bestowed upon you. Usually it could be by your guru or even by Srimati Radharani. Then only you can start loving Krishna. You are no more an apprentice. Up to there, we are apprentice. We are learning. Even Raganug, you still follow. You still follow a Ragatmika back now, a group leader. That's the main difference. Now you are.
Why it takes so long, you know? Most of the devotees, some devotees got it very quick to reach that.
Kadvanga Maharaj, yeah, it took very fast. Well, how far we are willing to let go of our luggage, karmic luggage, Goloka? Personally, I don't even ask myself this question because I know I'm not doing the needful. So I don't even complain to Krishna or to another devotee or to my guru because I know I'm the culprit. Because we navigate, you know, Anishita Bhakti, what does it mean? It means one foot in Maya, one foot in Krishna, basically. Anishita.
Yeah, even sometimes when you try so hard, just, you know, just to be fixed, you know, next minute you.
Because we are prone to Anishtita. I've got it right here on my chart. Utsayamayi, Ganatala, Judavikalpa, Vishaya Sangha, Niyamakshana, Tarangarangini, they're right here. The 6 symptoms of Anishtita Bhakti are right here. Madhuya Kranamini.
And one thing I said, Krishna said, do your duty at the same time, you know, just think about me but during the course of your duty, you know, you're distracted.
Yeah, because we are unsteady. See, we are practicing. Practice makes perfect. We are doing fine, but we haven't reached Bhav. We haven't reached the Sadhya. Bhav means you have love for Krishna. This is no more yield, I would say, by your practice.
So what's the solution? Just give up your duty and just go and absorb completely?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, at the end of our life, we should do that.
That doesn't make you responsible, Krishna, because
no,
Arjuna,
I
Krishna
mean,
did not ask Arjuna to give up, you know, his duty. Krishna said, work.
yeah, that's fine. But when you reach, let's say 70, 80, anyone will tell you, Mataji, Prabhu, just go to Vrindavan and chant. It's called Nirjat Bhajan. Prabhupada said, work now, samadhi later. Yes, but that's fine. You're not going to retire at 35. But you see the first, you want to give yourself a few years in pure Krishna consciousness. You don't have anything else to do. You just, even Vishwanath, you know what he says? You should give up teaching. He says that. I read it. Even you give up teaching. You just absorb yourself. Chanting, reading, studying, but chanting, I would say. That's a must. That's a must. You tell your children, your grandchildren, the story is over now. Leave me alone. I'll send you did you get it? I can send it to you. The interview of the devotee who accompanied Kadamkar Maharaj until the last breath. I've got it here. You can see very clearly, he's closing his door. Practically, he doesn't want to see anyone. He has only, even his guru is there, Jayata Maharaj. And at one point, he just said, please leave me alone. Only the servant is alone.
And somebody was telling me that Kadamba Kanana Maharaj was not even have oxygen. He was asking one devotee to fan him so that he can breathe.
He's a very special soul. But what I'm trying to say is there's a need to Nirjan Bhajan, to isolate yourself. There's no more prescribed duty, no more. You just absorb yourself now. It's no more samyak. Sankirtan means samyak together. No, at the end of his life, you want to focus exclusively on Krishna. So I fully understand this isolation must be a great need. Anyway, let's carry on. So let's be clear. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. There is no more. We should not mix the two. There's no material goodness in there. It's an external manifestation coming from Guru or even Srimati Radharani. Then you revive your eternal love. Before that, actually, it's mentioned very clearly, you cannot fully love Krishna until you get there. Let's be honest. It's not if you're an apprentice carpenter, you may do some good work, but your master is not going to let you start putting your work on display for the public. You are still learning. You may be a good apprentice, no doubt. Let's say Raganuk Bhakti, you are a very good apprentice. Practically, you're getting like Michelangelo. You know him, right? Michelangelo.
Yeah.
La Joconde. And you know what happened recently? I mean, he's a maestro. Even maestro is weak. He's a genius. He was a genius in all domains of knowledge. He used to say, take advantage while I'm here. I don't come very often. He's a demigod, basically. He was a maestro in architecture, in mathematics, in philosophy, in painting, you name it. Recently, they found another Joconde. So, Joconde is the most expensive painting on earth. And then they figured out, well, it must be a copy. And when they look closely, they say, no, it's not a copy. So what happened? Now they start to understand. When the master was painting, he's got behind him top students doing the same job as the master. And they found recently it's an original of a student. And practically speaking, the experts are saying it's as good. So this is what happened. Raganuga Bhakta is practically, he enters the spiritual world. And then Bhav, he received this Bhav, this Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. And this is a very good example here. The dormant seed in your heart, we know Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Shite Kala Yudoi. It's there. It's there even in the heart of a snake. Krishna, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. But unless it is touched by the heat and light of the sun, At one point, you may grow through your sadhana, your own effort, yes. But at one point, you need the touch of your Shuddha Sattva energy. So when you get that touch, this is bhav. This is coming from external. Could be your guru or Srimati Radharani. See, very clear. When a person eagerly wants to serve the Lord, the Shuddha Sattva potency may enter his heart. May. It's an absolute. May. Through the mercy of a pure devotee. When Shuddha Sattva touches the heart, Prem begins to sprout. As Bhav is Prem in his preliminary budding state, Srila Rupa Goswami describes it as Premankor. Premankor means the first sprout of Prem. So again and again, it takes an external action of a guru, your Sadguru, or even Srimati Radharani. Prem Shoyamsu, it's proven in the definition itself. It's a ray of Prem. Prem is the sun. Bhav is the sun ray only. So there's a difference of quantitative concern, quantitative intensity. And again, I'm repeating myself, when Bhav is there, Prem is around the corner because the matter very quickly. So now, this Shuddha Sattva we discussed in the definition. What is it composed of? It's composed of Samvit and Ladini, Shakti. The Lord's own cognitive, this is Samvit. Just like we heard in 10:10, Tisham Satata Yuktanam, Bachatam Priti Purvakam. He's got pretty Purvakam. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So even in the Gita, it's clear, Goloka. Priti Purvakam. This is love, this is Bhav. 10:10 is Bhav. So it says here, the Lord's own cognitive potency descends into the heart of empires to perceive and know Krishna. So it's an external grace. The Lord's devotional potency, Ladini Shakti, that's Srimati Radharani, also descends in the devotee's heart, empowering him. You are being empowered, Goloka. There is an external empowerment, empowering us to fully manifest blissful love of God. Before that, this is not sadhya. This is sadhya. You follow? When the divine potencies of cognition and affection, Samvit and Ladini, combine in the heart, one can begin to fully relish Krishna as the supreme object of love. This is Bhav. And this is the awakening of love. So basically, that's the first admitted in the spiritual world must be on that level. You cannot go back below that.
So, Prabhu, if someone dies in the stage of Bhava Bhakti, he will then go in the like Bhauma Vrindavan or something?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because see, Bhauma Vrindavan, it's mentioned that you're going to finally touch up the light little traces of, you're going to perfect your apprenticeship in Bhauma Vrindavan. You're going to perfect your path, because with the contact of the Ragatmika Bhakta, you are promoted there and up, going to Golok.
I was just reading Madhurya Kadambini a few days before. So I think somewhere I read that normally till the stage of prema, we can attain maybe by own endeavor or something. But after the prema, there are higher stages like
There's
pranaya,
12 levels in Prem.
Yeah, pranaya, Mahabhav, up to Mahabhav. That we cannot achieve in our current body. It's impossible. We need to have the grace of the
Mahabhav is not bearable for Jiva.
gopis. yeah, so we have to definitely then get transferred to the Bhoma Vrindavan.
Yeah.
But even those who are not achieved the stage of prema, like I said, in the stage of bhava also, they will still get the opportunity to get transferred in Bhoma Vrindavan, right?
Yeah, because as I said, it's a very quick change. Again, the sun comes out in the morning. I mean, the sun rays. How long does it take for the sun globe to appear? You have seen. It takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So if you are on the level of Bhav, but be careful, up to Prem, there's still, unless and until you are reinstated in your Swadhupsiddhi, you can still fall down. Take the example of Maharaj Bharat in 5th canto, I believe. He was on the level of Bhav. And you have seen. Because it is to edify us, definitely. Jad Bharat, and then he went back. Prabhupada said in one class, even a gopi can fall down. Because we are Tatashta, but she will not fall down. But potentially, she can fall down. This proclivity is always there. We will not do it, obviously. Krishna says twice in the Gita, Yad Gadvan Anivartante. Once we go back, we don't fall down again. Once, unless we are sent as an acharya or something. So let's go back to the primary characteristic of Bhav is Shuddha, Sattva, Visheshatma. That's very clear. That's the primary. In other words, Shuddha, Sattva enters in your heart. That's to be retained. Now the secondary characteristic, the softening of the heart. Your heart is extremely soft, like Goloka's heart. He doesn't even pay attention. She didn't pick it up.
Yeah, I know you're saying my heart is soft. Just
Your heart is softening.
you're telling the opposite. Yeah.
That was a test to see if you were listening.
Yeah, I know. I heard my name.
Yeah, because it's a fact, I mean, Prabhupada is very clear. As soon as you bicker, you're Kanishta. You may know the whole Gita by heart. You're Kanishta. As soon as you bicker, especially with a devotee, you're not advanced. It's very clear. You're not advanced. The proof is in the pudding. We cannot cheat. A soft heart is easily moved or changed by emotion. Prabhupada quotes 2:324. You know the verse. If your heart is not moved by chanting the holy name, means it is still framed. The heart is still framed. It's made of steel. So, I mean, let's face it. Do we cry when we chant Hare Krishna? Asta Sadvika Bhav? So finish. There's no question of trying to find out where we at. We are apprentice, sadaka. Prabhupada, the other day I read it in Bhagavatam because I'm into first canto with the other group. It's practicing on the platform of suffering. He calls it very heavy. In other words, we are struggling. We could say practice on the platform of struggling also. That sounds good. We are struggling. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And this like an apprenticeship, I mean, my brother was an apprentice carpenter, I remember. He used to tell me sometimes he's doing good. Sometimes the boss is very happy with him. Sometimes he's going to blast him. You messed up this. You messed up the chair. Sometimes he makes big blunders. The master is not happy. So this is okay. Sometimes we're doing fine. Some other times we're not doing fine. Anishta. And of course, Prabhupada gives example. We know Asta Sadhika Bhav. There are 8 Asta, shedding tears, shivering, all these things. And you can see, we cannot deny that a devotee who has a soft heart, it could be a lady, it could be a man, is easily moved by emotions, you know. And we have to be even more extra careful not to offend the devotees. You know, oh, he's a sajya, oh, he's sentimental. You know, be careful. What if it is real? Then you're making a parat. So to be on the safe side, better you abstain yourself to pass comment. He may be a sajja, he may not be. Especially in ISKCON, you have seen devotees crying, you know, even ladies, you know. We don't know. Is it the most of nature, or perhaps it's could be, could be some real symptom. Of course, it has to be a Krishna conscious stimulation. You know, if he's moved by because his father died. I mean, of course, we cannot blame him. You know, father is father, but this is somewhat mixed. But if it is moved wholeheartedly by a Krishna conscious stimulation, we can rest assured that yes, this person is getting there. Now let's define about I would say the subdivisions before getting to Bhav. It's interesting. There are some before, I would say, three manifestations of Bhav. One is Prapti Abhilash. I'm getting mixed up here. Be careful. Now, these are the different tastes. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up with Pratibimba and all these things. Now, let's define, before we get into that, let's define the different tastes pertaining to Bhav. Prapti Abhilash, a desire to achieve Krishna. Anukulya Abhilash, desire to please Krishna with various services. Soharda Abhilash, desire to be close at heart with Krishna. Yeah, so let's look at the footnote 68. This is coming from Jiva Goswami. This on his Tika on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So now, nature of Bhav. When Bhav appears, it permeates our consciousness to such an extent that it appears to become one with the mind. Just like an iron rod placed in fire, as we know, is eventually permeated with the quality of fires. Prabhupada gives often Tadatmaka. It's called Tadatmaka. So Prabhupada says, once you have those astas at Vikabhav and they stay, they just keep on burdening in you, then it comes to Samadhi. In other words, Samadhi is the final continuation of the astas at Vikabhav. And then Prabhupada is very clear. Prabhupada is such a connoisseur of Bhava. This stage of appreciation becomes the cause of future exchange. See, you're not even getting there. Future exchanges of loving affairs with the Lord. So as I said, you know, you are there, but you're going to Bomalila for the sake of further progression. Achieving Bhav. The two ways. Ardent spiritual practice. Already ardent was there in Laganu. Mulyam, api mulyam, ekalam. It covetousness. So you carry on into this ardent practice, spiritual practice, and or kripa. Kripa of Krishna or devotee. Yeah, Prabhupada equates the two. He equates sadhu sangha with practice of devotional service, because he says if you are willing to associate with the sadhu, means you are willing to increase your bhakti. Because a real devotee will not speak about anything else but Krishna. So one is included into the other. And Prabhupada is reminding us, the importance of, it's kind of Navanga Bhakti, actually, we know. Associating with devotees only, That is why we know the 9 symptoms of Bhakti. Do you know them, Vignesh? The 9 symptoms.
Yeah.
One is Avyarta Kaladvama. He
Yeah,
cannot waste his. He doesn't like it to waste his time. He cannot even afford. I've seen devotees like that. Jananivas is like that. I mean, I used to serve with Jananivas. You cannot just discuss about. You won't even dare to bring up the subject. Like about COVID or. I mean, no one will dare. I don't know if you've been close to an advanced devotee for a long time. No one will dare to, how was your day? This kind of, I mean, it doesn't even click in your mind. When you are, I was with Janariva 6 months, I remember, in 87. You cannot just behave normally, talking about, you don't even dare to say that. It doesn't even come in your mind because you can see, you're not even provoked to even start the conversation. You can see his demeanor. You can see through his demeanor. This person is not in Maya, not even a minute. I've seen with my own eyes, and Anivas Prabhu is. Prabhupada said he has no material desires. I don't know if you understand what it means. He has no material desires. It means he's a pure devotee. What to speak after 50, 60 years of being the head pujari? Prabhupada told him, I want you to train the whole world in deity worship. So you can well imagine where he stands.
Even I think get the opportunity to associate with a pure devotee is not so easy, right?
Not easy.
Generally, it is, and we know definitely there are big lot of people in ISKCON as well, but to get an association of pure devotee is something still not easily available.
I can take my example. Can you imagine? I was 97 up to 12 years in the dam. What am I doing here in France? Most probably I made some offense. Very simple. How can you be in the dam and leave? Means you have no brain. You have on whichever reason.
So
Unless, of course, you
find
go.
out what the offenses you made.
Sorry.
I'd like
I don't want to speculate, but most probably it's a mixture, In the dam, there's so many ways. Vaishnava parad, a little bit of Nama parad, a little bit of Dharma parad. It's a kitri. Or then as soon as you have growth again of material desires, impeding the growth of impeding the growth of the bhakti lata, you're finished. You're not finished I'm still here practicing, but it's not the same. It means somewhere you have done something wrong. Unless your guru tells you, okay, Madhavendra, you go to Moscow and preach. That's different. That's totally different. But if on your own you leave the dam, like I did, then it means Krishna allows you to live, means you're not fit to stay, to carry on your growth. You have grown, definitely. You have grown. That's gone. That's there forever. Nehadikram Nashatosti. But it's unfortunate, I would say.
But
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have like a guru, like a personal guru, like suppose you're Bhakti Charamara, he won't give you like personal, like instruction now. A devotee, so then, they're confused, they know they're going to be unconscious
They could
whenever they are.
getting remarried and I have to get, okay, I'm getting married, I'm getting remarried, and I have to go and make a living in the West now, and blah blah blah, and these are good Krishna conscious reasons, but Maya can also appear in those reasons, you know. Like ask Jananivas Prabhu, is he going to leave the dam? Ask him.
Never.
Just ask him, you know. Would you dare to ask him, Prabhu? I'm inviting you to ISKCON Los Angeles. Please come to give a Bhakti Shastri seminar. Ask him. I pay your ticket, Prabhu. I paid a 1 month ticket, 1 year ticket open. So what is his answer? Very simple. No, everyone is not on the same level. Oh yes, I want to travel to America. Yes, yes, I will go. You know, it's not on that level.
They lost all the taste for material enjoyment. All taste.
We discussed right here. Taranga Rangini, all these 6 symptoms are there. No? So now let's break it down. Bhav attained by practice of sadhana. Because again and again, I'm repeating myself, you can come from the platform of sadhana. So let's say we know the previous steps, what are they? Vedi and then Raganuk. You follow the staircase, Vedi Bhakta, then Raganuk, then finally, by Krishna's grace, and Shuddha Sattva being bestowed in your heart, you are entering the threshold of pure love of God, awakening of pure love of God. So Narad, I've been telling the example of Narad is the best example. Is he less than Narad is the main guru of Bhagavatam? Let's be honest. He has achieved by way of sadhana bhakti, Vedi. Remember, he was at the service of the Bhaktivedantas, Dasiputra, the first canto. Can I eat your remnants with your permission? Yes, my boy. He ate the remnants. He became totally purified. He was not frivolous, playing sports and all. Extremely focused. Mother got bitten by a snake. He took off at 5 on his own, wandering. So Prabhupada defines here, very interesting. He was not motivated. What made him, we could ask ourselves, how did it start? What made him serve the Bhaktivedantas? Let's discuss into the intricacies. What made him serve the Bhaktivedantas? Because that's going to define his path. Was it Shastric injunction? Or was it specific attraction to Krishna at this stage?
Obligation, is it?
Yeah. He has been formed, he has been trained as a boy by the Bhaktivedantas. You know, they taught him Bhagavatam and they taught him Krishna consciousness. So they are my gurus. I have to serve them. This is Vedi, right? It's very clear. This is Vedi. Nothing wrong with that. And then Krishna Katha, obviously, it's Chatumasya. So what do they do? Chanting and Krishna Katha. And then at the end of the day, Bhav. Remember, in his very same life, remember the journey? He traveled the world all his life. At one point, he got into the forest, very sattvic forest, refreshing himself in the water. He sat for meditation. Of course, I mean, at this level of purification, 628, you can visualize the Lord in the heart. Very clearly, he was on that level, this Dasiputra. He could, Jana Pravishta, what is that verse? 12th canto. Janavastiti manasagatano pashanti yat surayoho. He can see the Lord in the heart. Pashanti, in the mind. And then, remember the story? He heard the voice. You remember? Goloka? He heard the voice from...
Yeah.
What did he tell him, the voice?
Then in the next birth, you're going to be...
Not exactly. He told him, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that for someone who is still slightly attracted by goodness, you won't be able to see me nor to hear me
in this lifetime.
in this life. But that itself is such a source of bliss. You heard, can you imagine if you hear the word of Krishna telling you that?
Yeah, Krishna speaking to you.
It sounds negative. You won't be able to see me, but you're in bliss for the rest of your life because you heard the voice. So you know it's getting close. And it's mentioned when he left his body, you know, the beautiful poetic analogy. I don't know if you remember, Vignesh. And there's a beautiful verse when how do you say it? Thunderbolt and lightning get together. He was transported in the spiritual world, and he attained not only Bhav, Prem on the spot.
Then this movie Tukaram also, you can see the airplane.
Oh, but Tukaram. Tukaram, Viman came to pick him up in his same body. Tukaram is it's a different league. The same body. Of course, for Narad, we have to understand there's one Puran that says he was Narad before. Be careful. Huh? Don't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, he became Narad after becoming Dasiputra. He was already Narad before. He had asked, you know, same stories. And, you know, can I sit closer? What is my...
Then Narad was cursed because he was Gandharva, isn't it?
Yeah, so he was not cursed. Be careful. He was. It was just like what Markandeya, a little bit like that. Markandeya Rishi, same story. He had to go through 7 kalpas. Markandeya Rishi, 7 kalpas. But for Narad, you know, please, I'd like to see a little bit closer. What is it? This Devidam, this Devi Shakti, you know. And then, of course, like you said, he became 8th canto in the Gandharva. Remember, what is his name? Upabaran. I'm forgetting the name. Got cursed as a Dasiputra, and back to square one, he became Nara. So let's carry on. Coming from the platform of Vedi, Raganug, up to Bhav. This is a perfect example. And Narad is one of the best protagonist in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is the main guru. So does it make a difference? No.
So, like, I want to understand those who attain bhav through Vaidhi sadhana.
Yes.
Are they qualified to enter Vrindavan, or they will go to Vaikuntha?
No, they can go to Vrindavan. No problem. Look at Narad.
That 2 ways, right? One is
we're getting there. We're getting to that. I'm almost finished his Vedi now.
Yeah.
So I know one of my friends who live in Vrindavan. I know she committed a great mistake there, you know, and she's still in Vrindavan. You say when you commit offenses, you're kicked out from, you know, for the Holy Dham. But Krishna Radharani is making all her arrangement for her. She's still there, you know.
Yeah, so, you know,
she's a simple devotee, and she doesn't even, you know, like very, you know, learned or something, but still, she's there, you know, just staying in the Dham.
It's difficult to comprehend, huh? It's difficult to comprehend. Sometimes Krishna lets you go back just to increase lolorium. Like for me, that is the effect. You know, I realize my blunder, and I hope and pray that at the fag end of my life, he will allow me for good to finish it there. You know. So perhaps it's like en français on dit reculer pour mieux sauter. You know, it's a French saying. You go back
up,
jump ahead, you know?
Before you can jump.
You know, sometimes it's like that life. Oh, it's going back. It's like the and then. So I hope it's going to be like that for me. You know, and like you say, someone apparently may make a big mistake, and you say, "Oh, he's finished," and he's still there. Why? Perhaps he's got so much
hard to understand,
so much
you know.
Sukriti, so much Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. You know?
Like sometimes we think we don't even remember what offenses we make. That's why we are not in the BAM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now Prabhupada is quoting about preaching, you know, it's interesting. He says, when a realized soul, so I'm not talking about an apprentice here, someone who is realized, who is engaged in the service of the Lord
He is engaged in speaking Krishna Katha. He has the potency to inject spiritual life in the hearts of the audience. You know, this is the level of Prabhupada. There's a verse in the fourth canto, the saffron particles. Let me find it for you. The saffron particles. You have seen Srila Prabhupada. Listen to that. 4/20/25. Spoken by I think it's Prithu. Yes. Remember Prithu? He was doing a yagya and Indra was stealing the horses and it's a big jazz. And then finally Lord Vishnu appears. My dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouth of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore don't need any other benediction, but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. See, this is beautiful. This is spoken by Prithu. Prithu obviously is the personification of an idol king. Is on the level of Maharaj Ramachandra. Is the empowerment of the idol king, amongst the avatars. So this is what happened. Can you imagine? That is why Prabhupada touched the heart of so many people, because the saffron particles of his words, coming from his words, glorifying Krishna, touched the jiva. Then you should seek the association of such pure devotees. Now let's get into Raganug. Coming to Bhav from Raganug Bhakti. Example, I don't know if you have, there's one in the book, if you look it up.
Yeah. Chandrakanti example.
Chandrakanti.
Chandrakanti, yeah. Nectar devotion.
Again, Avyata Karadvam, she danced all night without stopping. Finish. That's enough. Avyata Karadvam. There was one devotee, I used to call him Gorataraj. That was not his name. I don't know if you remember, he's an American guy. His son is a very good, I think his son is Vrindavan.
He always dancing, you know.
And I used to call him Gorataraj.
I know, he would dance and dance and dance and dance. And he have a girl and a boy, like he
is he still alive?
everywhere.
He was a nice person, huh? I used to call him Gorataraj. That was not his name.
Devotee, yeah.
His son is Vishwambar. He's a top Mridanga player. He used to play for Indra. Today is the Avirbhav Tithi of Indra, Prabhu, So anyway, she made it, huh? Chandrakanti. Now, this is by Raganug. Now by mercy. You're coming to Bhav by mercy. And that Prabhupada gives the example of the honorary degree. Like Mick Jagger, it's such a, Mick Jagger, Rolling Stones. He got the honorary degree from UK, like a PhD, I mean, this, you can see the nonsense of the material world, He got an honorary, oh, you're Mick Jagger, I'll give you a degree. And the guys, it's Mick Jagger. I think he had 8 wives. 8 wives.
Who is he?
Mick Jagger, Mick Jagger is the lead singer of the Rolling Stones. Got an honorary degree. Oh, my dear friend, Mick Jagger, please take the degree. So Prabhupada gives, there are 3 ways of receiving Krishna Kripa. Vachika, verbal, darshan dan,
appearing in person, harder, heartfelt, unspoken blessing. Vachika, example coming from Naradiya Puran. Narad, I wish that you may develop. He got blessed directly by Krishna. You get a blessing. You get a blessing from your guru. You get a blessing from Prabhupada. You know, one time, can you imagine the Prabhupada blessed a South Indian life member? I bless him because he had organized such a nice program. He said, no, I want to go to Swagalok. he's rejecting Vachika Kripa. Can you imagine? Misfortune. Vachika Kripa is coming from a Mahabhagavad. Say, no, I want to go to Swagalok. Darshan, done. Example of the Jangala province, you know, they could not be take away the glance of Krishna, you know.
Mm.
You know, sometimes it happens. There's one devotee, just by looking at Prabhupada, he joined. Prabhupada was getting off the ramp of the plane. Just by looking at his silhouette, his name was Jaini Shingo, Prabhupada disciple. He told me the story. Unheard of. Just, this is, you know, totally unheard of. Heartfelt blessing. Shuka Samhita. Shukadev Goswami, he got bhav from the womb of Jabalu, his mother. Of course, father was speaking Krishna Bhagavatam, so it helps. That's Udipan, definitely. A stimulus.
Prabhu, like, I just wanted to understand what exactly qualifies a person to get such a mercy, because he hasn't done any sadhana. Like, what is
Yeah.
that thing that makes him makes that like direct darshan of say Krishna? I know it is rare, but still,
Very
what is
rare,
that?
like Bali Maharaj,
Yeah.
you know, very rare, very, very rare, but it's not common, so we should not
But Bali
depend
Maharaj
on
was
that.
of Prahlad Maharaj, so he has something in his DNA, like a devotee.
His previous life, you know the story, he happened inadvertently to fast on Nishinga Chaturdasi, Nirjal. He had a fight with his girlfriend or something, and how do you call it? He didn't sleep that night. He was in the old ruins of a Nishinga temple, and he fasted. And then again, Prahlad here, he got the wishes of Narad through his mother Jabalu, as she was pregnant of him. Mrigali the hunter also, just good wishes of Narad. You know, your guru is blessing you. You know, your guru is blessing you totally in a disproportionate manner. Like Brahmanand Prabhu has been receiving enormous blessings of Prabhupada. Prabhupada had a liking for him. And he was not like compared to others, he was not like a staunch practitioner, you know, but he got enormous blessings.
Yeah, I know when he was in Africa, he was deviating and doing a lot of...
He fell down from sannyas even. The
Yeah.
I mean, he got enormous blessings, much more than anyone else. You cannot compare Brahmanand Prabhu with someone else.
Prabhupada has so much love for him because he helped Srila Prabhupada so much.
So, you know, it's like, it's totally beyond words. It's not even logical sometimes.
Mm.
It's beyond logic. Why?
And about Migrari, is it Migrari
the
became
hunter,
Valmiki,
just by
or
good wishes of Narad.
you were talking about Migrari?
Yeah.
You know, he got... No, is this become Valmiki or some other Migrari become Valmiki?
No, it's not the same. Be careful. Brigadier Hunter he became a great soul. And due to the good wishes of Narad, even Narad came with Parvat Muni and told him, see, he was a hunter, look at him, trying to avoid the ants on the ground. It's like a total transformation of heart.
No,
Anyway,
I heard something. Yeah, I know it's off, little bit off the subject. Like Valmiki, who was he before in his previous life?
he was definitely a Gunda. I mean, he was a dacoit. Huh? From I don't know well his story, but correct me if I'm wrong, Vignesh. He was a dacoit, right?
Yeah, I think I have also heard some little bit story on that. I think he was not a very good. He was killing a lot of people. Um, I think so.
Yeah. Look at Srivas Thakur. Up to the age of 16, he was a Brahma Bandhu. Only a Brahman in name. And then he heard a voice from the sky, you have 1 year to live. Then he started to go to listening to Devananda Pandit, who himself was a staunch lecturer, but not Krishna conscious. Later he got blasted by Mahaprabhu. And as Srivas, he wanted to straighten out himself. I have to really come up to the mark. I heard I'm going to die. He fell off the balcony because, he was listening to the class. The time of death has come. And as he fell off, Narad's infused in him his Shakti. Then he had Astasat Bhav, actually. Then he got thrown off the arena, the courtyard of Devananda. No one complained. Devananda didn't complain. Then the offense was perpetrated against Srivas by Devananda Pandit. Later he got severely rebuked by Mahaprabhu, this Devananda. And finally, through serving Rakeshvar Pandit, he got redeemed and became a topmost devotee. So shall we go on? We have 20 minutes left, if I'm not mistaken. We're entering 18. 18 is a continuation, basically. So we discussed, Chitta Mashrinya means, we discussed before in the definition, it's softening of the heart, that's clear. So let me find you here. Okay, I had lost you. Yeah. So we know it's mentioned Asta Sadvikabhav. So there's a footnote here. Let's go and check it out. Yeah, it's referring to chapter 28. We are way beyond Bhakti Shastri, but we don't touch on it. I don't know why, but it's not part of it. Yeah, so Prabhupada is reminding us that external symptoms are not sufficient to ascertain his unbhav level. Because sometimes they can be either incomplete or totally fake. And one time, a story like this in Vrindavan. Devotee say, oh, he's crying, Prabhupada, he's crying, he's an advanced devotee. Prabhupada didn't even come down. We lost Goloka.
Yeah.
She's gone with the wind. So Prabhupada told him, you go back down, you kick him in the chest. You see if he's a real devotee, Prabhupada is so happy. He didn't even come down, you kick him in the chest. Devotees were bewildered,
Yeah. I think even on this, Srila Bhaktisadan Sarva Thakur also says on this that there are this external symptoms of crying and all those things. Even some people by practice, like stage actors, dramatic actors, they can also get such symptoms on will by practice and not spontaneously, but on a will.
Yeah, because they're actors, like you said.
Yeah.
They're expert at acting.
So it is not very proper indicator.
Yeah, it's not sufficient. We're going to see very soon now the different incomplete, abhas of bhav. We're going to see that now very soon. So, quoting 2:24. Yeah, again, we should be wary of unscrupulous imitators. Okay, basically sahaja, cheaply. Yeah? They can be imitated by mundane devotees. Well, the bottom line is definitely Shanti. We're coming to the 9 symptoms now. It should translate like Shanti. Shanti means you can very clearly see this person has no material desires. This is the first, again and again, this is reminded in Raganog, reminded in Bhav. There's totally cessation of all types of material desires. That's very first symptom. Anachakaradvam, we discuss at length. Doesn't waste a single time. Eagerness, name gane sadaruchi, always eager to glorify, chanting, telling others about Krishna. Pritis tadvasati stale. Same story, living in the dam. You cannot afford to live the dam. You don't want to live in the dam. Even you're struggling financially, you are not doing well financially, but you don't want to. Virakti is beyond, be careful, there's 2 levels of virakti, there's nikshepa and virakti. Virakti is higher. Nikshepa is more like indifference, you know. You are indifferent to the material nature, that's fine. But virakti means you're totally, naturally, sincerely, naturally detached from material happiness. You are gone over that. Pridelessness, manya shunyata. You have seen Rupa Goswami. Oh yes, I want to challenge you into a debate. Yes, no need. I will sign the paper that you have defeated me. You know, totally avoiding even the contest, even willing to sign that he has been defeated by this scholar. And even Jiva Goswami had to intervene. How could it? Let's see if you can defeat my uncle. I will challenge you now. Of course, he got chastised for that. So mana shunyata, pridelessness. So this is clear. These are the real nine anga of Bhav. Otherwise, you are just faking or incomplete in your progression as yet. So now let's discuss. Well, we discussed the Virakti. We discussed the 9. Ashabandha, I forgot. Yeah, it's a very good one. Ashabandha means hope against hope.
Yeah.
There's a footnote here, 73 on Ashabandha. Due to self-realization, one becomes fully aware of how insignificant and helpless one is. He realizes that it is impossible for him to achieve anything on his own, not to mention achieving the highest, most rare Krishna Prem. Thus the devotee becomes despondent. You know, you are totally left with your own despondency. I cannot make it, I'm too low. There's no question. However, self-realization also causes one to understand the laws of omnipotence and unfathomable affection for all the jivas. Therefore, although one is completely unable to achieve anything on his own, he is sure, this is Ashabandha, that Krishna will help him. Thus, he becomes confident of achieving the highest success in spite of his disqualification. It sounds like, you know, the 6 symptoms of pure bhakti as given in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. How does it go? Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam goptridve varanam tata. You know that verse? Yeah. Then is favorable, defavorable, unfavorable, we are avoiding, yes. Then he remains my guardian, my protector, my, you know, everything. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, everything. Then he will reciprocate. I know he will reciprocate. This is a Shabanda. It's also part of this list of Inari Bhakti Vilas, the 6 symptoms of surrender. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. It is in future tense. Rakshashiti Vishvaso, yes. I'm convinced Vishvaso. I know. I've got that a little bit, you know. Yeah, I never really meant take care. Even my wife is screaming on me day and night. Oh, I don't make enough money.
But you know, I've got this implicit understanding with Krishna that I'm not going to die due to scarcity. You know, it's always coming one way or the other. So no, I've got this.
Well, I was just thinking, like, all these 9 qualities of a bhava bhakti. Is it possible? Is it like that? It all will appear only after the stage of bhava, or something can also manifest to a certain extent even before?
Yeah, we're going to come now. Pratibimba Ratyabhas, Chaya Ratyabhas, we're going to come to that. What's the time? Yeah, we have basically for 15 minutes. So Samukanta. Samukanta is a bit like Loliam, you know, you're extremely eager. Looks like she's gone, huh? She was busy or something. Namagane Sadaruchi, Chaitanya Sadari, you're extremely eager to chant. Asakti is Asakti Stadgunat Kyane. You like to glorify Krishna, and again, living in the down. So now this is the topic now. Could it happen prematurely in others, even non-devotees? So, you know, sometimes it happens to you, perhaps, or to me. I know to me it can happen. I've seen that. It's like an external display. Could be mundane emotions. Sometimes it's more subtle. It could be a mixture of mundane emotions and spiritual. And even you start crying. And Prabhupada said they can never appear in people attached to sense gratification or liberation. And Rupa Goswami corroborates this attachment exhibited by pure devotees cannot possibly be perfected in the hearts of fruitive workers, or, you know, we know that. So now there's a clause to be considered. There's a little clause, and we're coming to those pratibimba Ratyabhas. Sometimes in practicing devotees who are not there as yet, so now Prabhupada explained, in neophytes or non-devotees, you can have emotions like Ratyabhas, which is basically reflection. Then could be Pratibimba, reflective, or Chaya, shadowy. So the lower, the Pratibimba, Ratyabhas is lower. It's called reflective attachment. You practice bhakti, but you have an ulterior motive. So it's not obviously Anyabhilashita Shunyam. You have a motive for liberation or gain, you know? What is the verse in the Gita, in the Bhagavatam? That says we should be freed from all even tendency to enjoy devotional service. Yeah. But still, let's say he's got something, a little motive for that. And he's practicing well, even though the motive is corrupt. You know, but he's practicing well. Because he's surrounded with good devotees, it may happen that he may have some symptoms. And it says that the ecstasy coming from these devotees is being mirrored, is reflected in the mirror of his heart. Yeah, good example. You know, you're having a kirtan, very far kirtan with devotees in temple room, and sometimes an outsider comes and he's quite subjugated. He comes in the kirtan, and after half an hour, you know, he starts crying, which is a very good sign, actually. But we cannot compare that with the Bhav Bhakta. You follow?
So it is like to reach the stage of pure rati, we have to go through the stages. Is it like normal, natural to go through?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. But it may manifest. It may manifest.
Okay.
I mean, on a very high level, I'm talking, of course, it's way beyond that. Like, this is the other way around. Daruka is preventing that.
Yeah.
Daruka is got Asta Sattvic above, and this is impeding his service of finding the Lord. This is, I mean, we are on the other side of the border now. You know, this is way beyond. The Asta Sattvic above are a flow to his practice, to his rendering service. So that's very high. Now, another one is Chaya Ratyabhas, which is better than the first one. So now you may execute bhakti out of social convention, curiosity. The devotional service is less intense. See, the first guy in the Pratibimba Ratyabhas is more intense in his practice, but he's got an ulterior motive. Here in number 2, Chaya Ratyabhas, his motive is less corrupt, but his practice may be also less. So again, it's a slight resemblance of real symptoms, you know. Again, kirtan, holidam, you know. It's called para. Sometimes they call it para attachment. You're doing a parikrama, you know, I've done parikrama with Madhavanan Prabhu in Puri, with my guru in Vrindavan or Mayapur, big parikrama. And obviously, it's extremely conducive to advancing, definitely. You may have such symptoms, you know, as you're doing the parikrama, amongst other great devotees, you know, gurus and all.
So, like, I think that it mentions motive is less corrupt. So, but still, that person has a motive for liberation and material things.
Yeah.
He's not Abhilasha to Shunya, right?
Yeah, obviously it doesn't fit the bill of Anya Bilasha Shunyam, definitely. Social convention, it says here, curiosity, you know, okay, my wife is a devotee, let me go with her and let's see what are these guys up to, you know, and he goes and to follow his wife, and he's not a devotee himself, but after some time being in a month in a parikrama with his, you know, his wife is initiated, let's say, and he goes with his wife, and finally he gets a taste out of it, you know. I know it's not so good, but I know one lady, she's married to a diplomat, you know. The guy, not at all. He's nice, he's a nice guy. And he's loaded also. So you want some money, take the money. But he's not a devotee, and he doesn't interfere. Sometimes there are some cases like that. And sometimes he comes along and, you know. So now, let's move on. Para means shadow attachment, para attachment. So, very interesting. Huh? Prabhupada says that the Ratyabhas, Pratibimba, reflects more intensely Bhav, because it's like an image reflected in a mirror. However, in Chaya Ratyabhas, the symptoms are not as clearly reflected. It's like a shadow cast on the ground, a vague resemblance. So one is shadow attachment, Chaya Ratyabhas, and the other is reflective attachment. And Prabhupada says the Chaya is para, it's more transcendental. Even though it's less intense, it's shadow, it's only a shadowy attachment. There's less motive, so it's better. So now, what to do when you have that? I think it answers your question. What to do when you have that, and how to come up to the genuine Bhav? This is the question.
Yeah.
So what to do? It falls under the sense that due to the devotee's power association, obviously.
Yeah.
If you serve, just like Devananda Pandit, it's a beautiful example. I was listening to the class this morning. I don't know if you know him, right? He was one of the main lecturers in Bhagavatam in Navadvip at the time of Mahaprabhu. Totally paka, brahmachari, no ulterior motive, but no proper understanding of the Siddhant of Gaudiya at all. Extremely academic, extremely expert in Sanskrit, Sanskritist of the topmost caliber. He can explain left, right, and corner how to break down all the syllables. Topmost lecturer. I told you, he didn't react when Srivas Thakur fell off the balcony. He got infused with Nara Shaktis. He got thrown off the courtyard. That was a severe offense. Severe. Another day, Mahaprabhu strolls by his ashram. He could overhear with other devotees, he could overhear his kata. It's not kata, actually. But Mahaprabhu got angry. He started yelling at him from afar. You're a pretender, you don't even know Bhagavatam. And he was about to run into the courtyard and tear apart the Bhagavatam of his hands. Devotees had to restrain Mahaprabhu. No, please don't do that. Then he finally walked down the road. Later that day, or shortly after, the next day, he bumped into Devananda Pandit on the road, and he blasted him severely. He told him, you're not a Bhagavat person. How dare speak on the Bhagavatam? He blasted him severely. Plus, I heard, because remember, he offended Srivas way before Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Srivas was young. Srivas was on the age of the fathers of Mahaprabhu. There's a big gap between Srivas in terms of age and Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, being omniscient, reminded him as he was talking to him on the road, you offended a Bhagavat person. And he was really blasting him. And Devananda felt quite despondent, and he left, But at the same time, he had a very strong reputation. He had already lots of followers. His classes were attended by hundreds. And what happened, this is exactly what happened here, because of the mercy of Vakashvar Pandit. Vakashvar Pandit is a Vishnu Parikar of the Lord. Mahaprabhu used to tell him, one day he danced 72 hours in a row. Mahaprabhu told him, if you had another wing like you, I would fly in the sky. So he came and he was such a dancer. Immediately crowds will converge around him, and Devananda told him, please come to my ashram, you'll be peaceful. And he took care of him, prasad and massaging, and he would dance, and Devananda would keep the crowds away from, getting too close to the Vakashvar Pandit. And finally, he served him. He was quite enamored by him, And then the Vakashvar left. In the meantime, way before that, Mahaprabhu took sannyas, 1510. Then he went to, Puri, South India, 6 years. And he came back many years. In the meantime, Devananda Pandit got really quite purified by serving this Vakashvar. And when Mahaprabhu came, Devananda came, but he was quite embarrassed. And he hid himself in the crowd. Mahaprabhu, of course, told him, come here. And he told him, I'm very happy with you. You redeemed yourself by serving Vakashvar Pandit. And then Vakashvar Pandit asked him, please tell me how to give good Bhagavatam classes. I'm off, even though I know everything. But then Mahaprabhu taught him, and then he became a pure devotee. So it's mentioned, to come to genuine bhav, by association with pure devotees, basically. If you're not sufficiently blessed by pure devotee, it's not going to happen. You have to attract, you have to invoke the blessings. This is the point. Again, it goes without saying, the mercy of a pure devotee. And of course, it will be impeded if there is a parad. You may get the mercy, but how to retain the mercy, that's another story. That mercy may not be retained properly. Like I got a lot of mercy, I remember. But did I retain it? What to speak if I made a parad? Yeah. So, you know, so where are we here? Yeah, don't move it too much. Huh? This is the, what do you call it? Yeah, okay, I got you. Okay, so then association of pure devotees. Don't offend, obviously. It's always the same story. Huh? Via the medium of pure devotees. This is clear. As soon as you make an offense, then even that shadowy attachment will disappear. You know what I'm saying? You will lose even that.
Like already the person who is situated in this stage has crossed the stage of anartha nivritti.
Yeah.
But still there is a great chance that he can offend Vaishnava. Like I'm just thinking, like those who are in stage of not even cross the stage of anartha nivritti, for them there are so many opportunities to do offense.
Like we have seen, I'll give you an example of someone very high making an offense. I mean, Devananda Pandit is a good example because he was not an ordinary guy. Prabhupada said he was extremely pure. He was not a fake devotee. He didn't get the Siddhant right, that's for sure. But he counteracted his offense to Srivas Thakur, which is a severe Guru Avagya, by serving Vakashva Pandit. So, you know, the offense was very serious for Devananda Pandit. And of course,
only about Vaishnava Aparadha, right, Prabhu? Or not any other like DT
yeah,
Aparadha?
yeah, Vaishnava Aparadha is the foremost. Guru Avagya, of course. Amongst Sadhunin, the worst would be Guru Avagya.
So DT aparad towards the DT will not be counted here, or like suppose if there is an offense.
To less degree.
Okay.
There's Dhamma Parad also, you know. Like if you start beating a rickshawala in Vrindavan, you know, this is not good. No, you start slandering one devotee, one person in Vrindavan. That's why you don't associate. I mean, I remember, you know, I used to live in Vrindavan for many years. You start hanging out with the shopkeepers there, you know, you may find fault. And of course, I have to admit, they're not pure devotees for me, but it's mind-boggling, you know, why they're allowed to even have a shop in Vrindavan in Lloyd Bazaar. And sometimes they're extremely lusty with white women, you know, all these things I've seen. But one way or the other, they still remain there. So, you know, it's a bit beyond me in one sense. So Prabhupada said, don't associate, just keep aloof. Don't criticize, don't praise, you know. They may die in Vrindavan, you know, having a shop all his life in Vrindavan, being lusty a little bit, being cheating here and there. And at the end of the day, he's going to feel so much guilty and, you know, get some final kripa and that's also there. Perhaps due to his punya from previous births, he has the right to stay in Vrindavan, even to establish himself in Vrindavan, have a business in Vrindavan. Yeah. Why? Well, being born in the West, even though we are perhaps more practicing than him, but the adhikar is not the same. Perhaps he has done something in his previous life that allows him to, you know. Of course, again, offensive mentality is impersonalism. Of course, it goes without saying if you want to merge, and then obviously, you know. Ahanggrahopasana, you know this term, this expression?
Yeah.
Ahanggrahopasana.
Self as Brahman, something like that.
Yeah. You may fall into that, unfortunately, that it's like a dead end, you know, due to offense. We have seen Rup Kaviraj. I don't know if you know the case story. He was, can you imagine? He was disciple of Emlatata Kulani, the daughter of Srinivasa Acharya. Can you imagine? He was worshipping one of a Shila that had belonged to Raghunath Das Goswami, top lecturer in Vrindavan. And he offended Emlatata Kulani, his guru. She's herself daughter of Srinivasa Acharya, can you imagine? And he became a Rakshasa, Brahma Rakshasa. He became one of deviant Apasampadaya. You know. So you can become a ghost, Brahma Rakshas, basically. Well, how down you can fall. There's no limit.
I think in India, I know like there are a lot of impersonalists, who have a huge crowd, gathering. They like even they dance. They sometimes, go in ecstasy, but still the conception of impersonalism is there within them. So I think it also relates to that kind of category of people, who express ecstatic emotions at the same time they are impersonalist. So
exactly. I remember the priest who married us in 2008. I mean, he's a top. He comes to ISKCON a lot, speaks about 25 Prabhupada. But it took us to a program, it was a Mayavad program in Vrindavan. It doesn't take long for me to detect, I know the philosophy. I stay 10 minutes and I humbly apologize. I have to go, I've got things to do. I didn't even take the prashad because it's all contaminated. In Vrindavan, Mayavad program.
Yeah.
People get mixed up. Oh, they are Vaishnav. Just hear the kata. You can immediately tell, And Prabhupada is very clear. You cannot, unless you have got purify yourself thoroughly, you cannot post yourself as a Bhav Bhakta. It's what to speak of presenting yourself. This is a parad. Now, conversely, it's a very interesting point. It's even if it is seen that a person has developed a high standard of devotion without even undergone even the regulative principles, then he must be to some practice in previous lives. This is also happening.
Yeah, there's also possibility, I think, because even when we hear a lot of things about Pratibimba and Abhas, it is not genuine, it is not genuine. Sometimes we also may doubt ourselves, in negative way that, I think it is not real, but it is just, I'm just pretending, but actually it may be genuine. We never know.
Yeah. As I said, to be on the safe side is better not to take position.
Yeah.
To encourage the person in the sit down, okay, great, you're doing great. Please come for Bhakti Shastra. Come for Bhakti Deva. Do your Bhakti Deva. We don't know who is who, especially in the Dharma. It's a tricky place. I have noticed with my own eyes. Then, of course, the example of the full moon, some spots on the full moon, pock marks, Yeah, this is the good point, Even if there is some blunder, as long as you are engaged, you are considered a sadhu. Okay, so we covered Bhav, Bhakti. Only one chapter left on Prem, 19th chapter. Do you have any questions? Vignesh, Hare Krishna. Today is, my third class. I've got another class at 5:30. Can you imagine? It's back to back.
Just
Sundays, it's 3 or 4. Thanks to Chandrasekhar that he doesn't miss me. Madhavan, you do. So when I say yes, it's 4. I started at 10. Look at the time. It's 5:10. I started at 10 a.m. this morning. Just enough to eat a little something. And anyway, not like this every day, but Sunday is oftentimes packed up. Okay, Vignesh. So anyway, you have only 2-3 shloks for for
I will recite the shlokas before the next.
yeah, you call me as before, no
I will
problem.
also be submitting one paper this week.
Yeah. I know you're doing great in papers. Sometimes I send you papers around, because I've got so many groups, and there's like baby boys and girls sometimes, they don't even know how to write an essay. So sometimes I say, look, I'll send you a good essay. I send to inspire them. So, okay, Vignesh. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Take
Krishna.
care.
Thank you.